So this is the PowerPoint to help with Unit 1, Task 8, and this is your merit. So your due date then. Only if you pass all your past work and it's been handed in and passed can you begin the merit. The final deadline for this assignment is November the 12th. So that's a Thursday, and I'd like that by the end of the day so that you've got Thursday's lesson in order to be able to complete this work. You'll then have the next week, so that's 3 lessons to work on the distinction work. However, you'll only be able to do the distinction and pass work, distinction and merit work if you have passed all the pass work, and then you have to pass the merit in order for you to do distinction work. So task 8 then, choosing a new story for each contrasting organisation. You need to explain why and how this is impacted on 4 different stakeholder groups and how it affects the stakeholders' objectives in a positive or negative way. So we already know about stakeholders as we've done task 4, which was to discuss various different stakeholders for both Tesco and Oldham Council. For the merit, we just need to go a little bit more in depth. So your steps then. So first of all, you need to choose a new story for each organisation. Copy the image onto your work. So do that by pressing print screen and then paste it onto a Word document. Also put the link from the internet of the new story into your work so that I can access it if I need to. And then I want you to write just a small introductory paragraph for each new story, briefly explaining the new story. Then I want you to say in this introductory paragraph which 4 stakeholders that you will be writing. So before you start to write your answer then, make a plan. This will help see if your new story that you've chosen actually affects 4 stakeholders so that you can write enough in order to be able to pass the merit level. Quite a few of you in class have been able to write about 2 or 3 and then you get stuck. So if you plan it out first and decide which 4 you'll choose and think what you could write about, then you'll know that you can actually answer the question. So, I want you to discuss how the stakeholder would be affected. Think of aspects such as costs, money, time, profits, image and reputation, any long-term, short-term effects, and any word-of-mouth publicity, along with any other impacts that you think the new story might have. So explain your points. For example, if discussing how something has affected employees, you must say, for example, if customers stop shopping there, then profits may fall. Employees may be worried as to how this may affect them. Less profits could result in redundancies in the worst-case scenario. However, it may also affect working conditions, pay rises, promotion opportunities, recruitment. This means that. And then go in to explain how that would affect the employees. And you need to do that for each different stakeholder and make sure that your answer's got some depth. Remember how much depth you needed to put in for the pass criteria? This is merit now, so it needs to be more. You need to show that you really understand how these different groups of stakeholders are affected and impacted on by the new story that you've chosen. So choosing a story. There are many stories that you can find and discuss for Tesco. For Oldham Council, I'd recommend a job cut story. The stakeholders that you could choose for this are employees, local residents, managers and trade unions. However, you don't have to choose these. I would recommend choosing a new story for Oldham Council first and then for Tesco afterwards. So remember then, I want to make sure that you've done a spell check on your piece of work so that all your spelling is correct. Make sure that you've answered each section so that I've got 4 different stories for each, not 2 or 3. It needs 4 different stakeholders sections for each piece of work. Make sure you've got the piece of work copied in there, the link in there, the brief introductory paragraph, and then 4 paragraphs clearly telling me how the stakeholder in that situation has been affected by that story. Define each part and then apply to Tesco and Oldham Council, and then proofread your work. You really need to get into the habit of proofreading your own work so that I'm not reading it and giving you back your spelling and sentence structure mistakes that you really could have picked up on if you just read your own work or asked someone else to read through it. Again, I want your work to go through Turnitin, print out the digital receipt and write your percentage on it, staple it together and put this into a plastic wallet with any copies of your old work so that it's nice and neatly handed into me. So again, I can see if I've already marked it and just mark the bits that maybe needed checking from before.